Okay, this is the very first video of Chapter 4, where we are looking at surface area and particularly rectangular prisms. So what is surface area? Well, surface area, I think of surface area when I think of Christmas, because the wrapping paper usually has all these little squares on it. And that's what surface area is it's counting up all of the little squares on the surface or the outside of a shape. So in this particular one, I've counted up 20 squares on the outside, and you'll notice that I still have the other 3 sides to count. And so we're going to have a formula to tell us how to do that, rather than just count them all up one by one. So what we're going to start off by doing is actually making a surface area formula sheet. So what I would like you to do right now is get a piece of paper, and I want you to have 3 columns at the top. So 3 sections. The first one is picture, then name of shape, and then formula. And for the picture, for a rectangular prism, we're going to have a rectangle, and then we're actually going to make it 3-dimensional. Like so. So you can see that it's like a box. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video and make your surface area formula sheet. And I want you to complete the very first one, rectangular prism. And then through this chapter, we're going to be adding more formulas to this formula sheet. Alright, so now that you've made this formula sheet, I'm going to tell you how to use it. So the very first step in finding the surface area for a rectangular prism is to label the sides. So the length, the width, and the height. So another sort of real-life example of this would be a tissue box, where along the bottom right here is the length. And right along the other side on the bottom is the width. And then how high it is called the height. Okay? And so, as you've written down already, the surface area for a rectangular prism is 2 times the length times the width, 2 times the length times the height, 2 times the width times the height, and then we add them all up. So let's look at an example. So again, the very first step that I do is label the sides. So the length in this one is going to be 12. So I can say that the length is 12 meters. The width is 10. Meters. And finally, the height is 12 meters. Okay, so let's just put this into our formula. So it's going to be 2 times the length, which is 12, times the width, which is 10. And then 2, we'll go into the next line, times 12, which is the length, times the height, which is 12. And then the final one is 2 times the width times the height. And we're just going to add them all up. So what we need to figure out is what each of these are. So 2 times 12 times 10. I'll punch that into my calculator. And it's 240. 2 times 12 times 12 is 288. And 2 times 10 times 12 is 240 again. So what I do is I just add up all of those numbers. So 240 plus 288 plus 240 is 768. Now, you'll notice that we have meters as our unit. So we're actually going to write down meters, but it's actually squares. Square meters. So that's why we're going to put a 2 there. Okay? So whenever we're doing surface area, it's always going to be a little 2 on top of the unit. Okay? Let's try another one. So in this one, we're going to label the shape first. So 10 feet will be my length. $11 feet will be my width. And 12 feet will be my height. Alright, so then moving on to the formula, it's going to be 2 times the length, which is 10, times the width, which is 11. And then 2 times the length, which is 10, times the height, which is 12. And then the last line is going to be 2 times the width times the height, and we're going to add it all up. So in your calculator, you're going to go 2 times 10 times 11, and I would actually like you to figure each of these out and then add them all up. So go ahead and pause the video and then finish it off. Alright, so you should have got 220, and you should have got 240, and you should have got 264. And then when you add it all up, it equals 724. Now keep in mind that the unit for this one was feet, and that we need that little 2 on top for surface area. Alright, so let's do this last problem here, and I would like you to try it on your own. So start off by labeling the sides, and then writing in your formula and adding them all up. Go ahead and do so. So the length is 5 yards. The width is 3 yards. And the height is 6 yards. So putting that into our formula, we have 2 times 5 times 3. 2 times 5 times 6, and 2 times 3 times 6. So when you add them all up, you're going to have 30 and 60 and 36. So when you add those up, you're going to get 126 yards squared. Alright, so now you're ready to complete Chapter 4.1 homework, but only the questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And a little piece of special information, 2 questions on the chapter quiz will be similar to the homework questions.